In the post-war 1900s, during the Meiji era and Taisho era, the leading Christian leader in Japan was Kanzo Uchimura. He was born in Tokyo on May 23, 1861, the eldest son of warrior and Confucian scholar Yoshiyuki Uchimura. With the fall of the samurai under the Meiji Empire, his family was in decline, and his family relied on his eldest son, Kanzo Uchimura, to give them hope. So he went to Tokyo English School and studied hard, and as he learned English, he began to read the Bible. When he entered Sapporo Agricultural School at the age of 16, he converted to Christianity in the school environment where the staff and students were Christian. From then on, he became passionate about his faith, and after a series of relentless evangelicals, he eventually evangelized his family and relatives. In 1884, he transferred to the theology at Emost University in the United States and began to grow into a spiritual giant. However, in Japan's religion and social environment filled with idols, his life was not easy. After returning from studying abroad, he was trying to teach at Tokyo Jeel High School. He refused to bow to the imperial worship on his own and was dismissed. He was persecuted by the Japanese as a traitor and suffered the agony of losing his wife. But he persevered, and for the next 40 years, after being fired against all odds, he continued to spread the gospel, social work, anti-war activism, writer, preacher, evangelist, activist. His rocky life has become a conduit of grace for many. 4 presidents of Dongjiyong University, 4 ministers of education, 1 prime minister, Kim Gyo-sin of Korea, Ham Sok-horn, and many Christian leaders and thinkers were produced in Korea and Japan. His various activities across his ideology, his religion and society had a profound effect on Japanese culture. His students led the post-war welfare sector. In Japan, where only 1% of the Christian population exists, about 70% of the welfare ministers are Christians. He was later named one of the 20 people who contributed to the development of Japan's modernization as part of the 100th anniversary of the Meiji Empire. He became a well-respected man in Japan. Kanzo Uchimura, who recalled his life in a poem he wrote called "If I Were Not Painful," confessed this: "If I had not been alone, I would not have accepted God's love. If all brothers and sisters had not suffered, God's love would not have been conveyed. Had our Lord not suffered, God's love would not have been known. Just as the Lord suffered with the crucifix to carry out the love of God's salvation, his suffering with the countless thorns of his life became the condition for his great grace of God." That's why Kanzo Uchimura was able to live a life of gratitude to God in the face of all his hardships. That's why he was able to always walk the right path, to love his country and his people, and to accomplish the great work of God. How great would it be if only we could learn the same anguish, the same gratitude, the same blessings, and live a life of faith and gratitude in the face of adversity. He who gives thanks honors God. And God's grace and blessings shall be more abundant to those who give thanks. And I urge you to firmly believe that, and be enlightened by the testimonies of the great believers of the Bible and of the history of Christianity. He who gives thanks shall make me glorious, and I shall show the salvation of God to those who write his deeds. Psalm 50 verse 23. Thank you. Like Kanzo Uchimura, even in suffering, always trust God and be thankful with faith, and I hope you too will see God's salvation.